Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. And as you can see by the title, I am going to do an orange ink exploration, meaning I'm just going to, not just going to, but I'm going to show you all of the orange inks that I currently own. What I am doing every month is trying to go through all of the different color families that I have in my collection and then doing an inventory of each of those. And while I do have in my little A5 ring binder here all of the different color families, this is more of a representation of all of the inks that I've tried. Many of these inks I do not own anymore, but this is for me a good comparison of what I've tried versus what I'm bringing in. So this is different from this because this is just taking stock of what I currently own at this point in time. And for me, being able to do this, one, you get to see what I own, but two, you'll also realize the number of inks that I have in each color family and which are the inks that I seem to move towards. So as you can see here, the number of orange inks I have is quite minimal, and actually some of these probably wouldn't even be orange, but I wanted to incorporate what I currently have that could be orange. So I am here in my Hobonichi A5 notebook with 52, I think it's 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. This is in my Galen leather A5 notebook, and I will be swatching with my Kakimori steel nib, which is on the River City Pen Co nib holder. And actually Rich of River City Pen Co also sells the Kakimori brass nibs and the steel nibs if you wanted to purchase both from him. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use the Speedball B nib in the size B0, so this is the biggest one in the set, or if I'm just going to paint roses or do the ink splatters. I haven't decided yet, and I really should decide that before I start. Oh boy, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. So I decided I'm actually going to use my paintbrush and paint lovely little roses. And to avoid contaminating the ink bottles, I'm actually using a pipette to put the inks into my palette, and then I'll be painting from that. So I'll actually place this on the side here so that you get a, I guess, better angle of that. So the first ink I will be swatching is Diamine Sepia. I'm choosing this because the label looks orange and it does go down a little bit of an orange, but it feels more, well, it dries a little bit more brown. So I'm going to just do a quick painting of a rose here. And I will tell you that obviously when you're painting a rose versus writing with it, it's definitely going to look different, and I've just added a little bit of water to it now. Ooh, some bubbles. So it's going to look a little lighter now that there's water added to it, but it's such a fun way to use fountain pen ink. And I'm just cleaning off my brush here. Now I'm going to use my steel nib. So this is Diamine Sepia, and this is what it's going to look like in the line widths. Beautiful. You can see the difference between the way that that looks in there. So that is Diamine Sepia. The next ink I have here is Diamine Autumn Oak. I've already placed some in my palette here. And I'm going to take just a little bit with my brush and paint the rose. This one is definitely leaning more towards the red orange and the darker orange. And this is not an ink that I use that often, but I know it's one that many people like to use. This rose is not turning out the way that I want it to. Yeah, I like being able to paint the roses because you can really see the difference in the shading there. Then placing a little bit on my steel nib here. So this is Diamine Autumn, if I can spell it, Oak. And I know this one is a staple for a lot of people when it comes to orange, because look at that in the line width. It's just stunning. Absolutely beautiful. But you can already see the difference. This one is leaning a little more towards like the beigey brown, but this one is more like yellowy orange, but also like there's just hints of red, like especially in the center where there's more saturation of the ink, there's definitely going to be, it's leaning more towards the reddish orange. So that is Diamine Autumn Oak. The next ink I have here is Diamine Ancient Copper. Again, one used I think by a lot of people, especially when it comes to oranges. I'm actually gonna have to work on the spacing here with my roses. This is definitely darker than Autumn Oak, almost leaning more towards the reds. So just add a little bit more water here, so you can see some of the difference in the shading. Definitely not my best rose, but there you go. And then I'm going to dip my steel nib. Made sure to dry that off because that can definitely affect that. So this is Diamine Ancient Copper. When I write with it, it definitely does look more of this darker tone and color, but it is a beautiful ink to paint with, as you can see here. And I like doing the different line widths because you can see, you know, if you've got like a pilot parallel nib, for example, that's what it can look like. So you can see I've gone from like a really light, almost brown, to a yellowy orange to more of a reddish orange with Diamine Ancient Copper. I'm showing you the two, like you can see them. But yeah, this is a lighter, almost brown. This is definitely a little bit darker than Diamine Sepia, but more of a yellowy orange, and then this one is more of a reddish orange. So that is Diamine Ancient Copper. Next we have Jacques Herbin Brun Eiffel, which was a sample sent to me by pen friend Pam, and I really liked this one. I'm actually going to see if I can fit. Oh yeah, I can fit this one in here. I like this one because it's actually very similar to Sepia, Diamine Sepia, but it's got more of a like a yellowy honey tone to it. Just the way that that goes down. I haven't tried this in a pen yet, but I am excited to try that in a pen to see how that works. Pretty. Then I'm going to, once I dry off my stainless steel nib here, put some of that in. So we have J. Herbin Brun Eiffel. I think being able to paint the roses as well as do the writing sample and the line widths can just show the different properties of this ink. But if you're only using these inks to write with, just know that the Brun Eiffel is definitely a little bit more yellow. You are still within that orange family, but it's going to be lighter than Autumn Oak. I feel like, am I really showing these in camera? And I'll show these all once they've dried, but if you're looking for more of like a reddish orange, Diamine Ancient Copper is definitely the way to go. And then Brun Eiffel feels like it's more of a true orange, similar to Diamine Autumn Oak. So J. Herbin Brun Eiffel. Next we have Troublemaker Sepia Hour. Now, this is one of those where I'm like, is it really going to be orange? But even when I'm actually putting this on the brush, it does look a little bit, it's more pink and coral, leaning more towards the peach. Yeah, it's definitely leaning more pink and coral versus orange. Oh, Lucy is whining at the door. Hold on, puppy. Oh my gosh. Can you hear her? She's growling. She wants to be let in. Just answered the door for Lucy. She's just had a bath, and so she's wet and is now sitting on my chair. So this is Troublemaker Sepia Hour. Definitely not orange. It's more in the coral pink family, but I wanted to include it just to basically show you, excuse me, there's a hair there, that I'm lacking in the orange inks department, but it's not really an ink that I gravitate to. So Troublemaker Sepia Hour. The next ink I have here is Teranishi Nostalgic Honey. This was one of my favorite inks from 2024, and I'm wanting to swatch it next to Herbin Brun because they're very similar, and I really enjoyed this. I put this in like the yellow category when I was doing my color families, but I also included it in the orange family because it does have that hint of orange in there, but it's leaning more towards the yellow, gold, honey tones. Yeah, really pretty. Like that. Then dipping my stainless steel nib in there. Whoops. So that is see, the writing sample is beautiful as well. Teranishi Nostalgic Honey. I really like the way that looks in the writing sample. That golden color is lovely. Beautiful. Right, so that is Teranishi Nostalgic Honey. I'm kind of sad that I've cut that off there, but that's what I've done with the room here. So I have room for one more rose down here. The last in the orange ink category is Dominant Industry Maple. Now, this is another one that's going to be like, is it actually orange? I don't know. This one was from from pen friend Pam as well. Lovely, lovely color. So going ahead and paint my rose here just right in the middle. So yeah, just from painting it already looks a little bit just more red than orange. But actually in some of the strokes there's hints of orange in there too. I love being able to paint roses. It's calming. And it's an easy, I say easy, but it's one of those where it's light stroke, heavy stroke, and then light stroke again. So it's working on little pressure, lots of pressure, little pressure. And then taking some in my stainless steel nib. I'm actually going to write it on the side here. So this is Dominant Industry Maple. Now I'm wondering, did I include this in my red ink exploration? Because it does, for me, it definitely looks more red compared to the orange inks, but it doesn't, it almost doesn't feel strong enough to be a red. All right, so there are all of the orange inks I currently own, and the more that dries, it is more red, and then this is definitely more coral pink. So these two probably not so much, and then this is definitely looking orange. So Teranishi Nostalgic Honey looks more orange in the writing sample and in the line widths, but painting with it, it looks more yellow, golden yellow. And then painting with Herbin Brun, I thought these were actually very similar, but when you look at the water that's added to it when painting with it, it's definitely different there. And then we have Diamine Ancient Copper. This definitely looks more red than orange, and I didn't include Diamine Ancient Copper or Dominant Industry Maple in my red collection. So yeah, that's interesting that I didn't do that. Then Diamine Autumn Oak, now that I see it, in comparison to Diamine Sepia and Brun and Nostalgic Honey, I'm really liking that. Now, I mean, painting with it is lovely, but I don't know if I would necessarily always gravitate to that orange when writing. Really interesting. So in terms of the orange ink exploration, I know that I'm kind of lacking in this department, but that's okay. I don't see myself using a lot of orange. What I do have, I do like. And just thinking here, like I really liked Brun Eiffel and Nostalgic Honey, but I feel like they're more like in the golden color versus straight and true orange. And then Diamine Sepia, as it dries, it definitely leans a little bit more brown. So interesting to me. I think the real true orange in this one is probably Diamine Autumn Oak out of all of the ones that I own. All right, and that is my orange ink exploration. Not every color family is going to have loads in it, like you could tell from my red ink exploration, my orange ink. Yellow next month will probably have even less. So look forward to that one. Let me know what orange inks you own. I know there's one that I really like. It's the Wonder Pens. No, there's another one as well. There's an Earl Grey tea. There's also the Wonder Pens, ginger. Oh my gosh, ginger chicken. And I've heard that one is really, really lovely as well. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts on orange ink are down below. Is it something that you gravitate to, or is it something that you don't really own a lot of? All right, now that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the whole ink exploration and kind of taking stock of what I own. Is this helpful for you? Do you enjoy these? Let me know. All right, thank you all so much for watching and have yourselves a great day.